Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will be doing another quite heartfelt and emotional video. If you don't follow me on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, you might not know that on Wednesday this week I actually buried Bobbi's ashes. So I thought that this week it would be a good idea to talk a little about that, reflect on it, and explain the process to you guys a little bit. Wednesday was easily one of the hardest days of my life. I knew it would be difficult, but it was so much more emotional and difficult than I thought it would be. Originally, I had just asked to be there when they placed Bobbi. Now, it does take a while for someone to be placed, and this is kind of a blessing. So after Bobbi's funeral, the crematorium said to us, please take your time in organizing the placement. Take a few weeks to let everything settle and then start thinking about her plaque, you know, where you want her to be placed, things like that. So I definitely did take my time. With a funeral, you don't have any time to wait. Like, you've just got to get it done. But when it comes to placing your loved one, there's less of a rush. So that was good. I really needed to take that time to process everything. And yeah, so planning her plaque was quite difficult. If you remember a couple of months ago on my Instagram stories, I actually asked my audience for some help in writing her poem. I don't think I told you that that's what the poem was for, but the poem that's on her plaque was actually written by a few of my followers. I sort of picked and chose the wording and the lines from a few different answers, and I put them all together into one poem. And so it's: twinkle, twinkle, little star, brave and beautiful is what you are. Our little angel way up high, forever dancing in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star was the first nursery rhyme I ever taught Bobbi, and I taught her all the hand actions to it, and she loved it. We would sing and do all the little hand motions together all the time. I taught her that when she was probably not even 2, and it was just her favorite. So I thought that was quite fitting for her. And yeah, the rest of the poem, the way we changed the words, suits her quite well. And the forever dancing in the sky is, you know, that's our song to Bobbi. I feel like every time we hear that song, we all think of Bobbi. So that was perfect that I managed to fit that in with your suggestions. So I think that final product, I was so happy with that. I think it suits her perfectly. She would have loved it. So the wording of her plaque, I put beloved daughter and sister, because that was her biggest identity. That's, you know, yeah, I thought that was quite fitting. And then it says both in memory of Bobbi, and then it has her legal birth name, which is Robin Lee Butler. So yeah, that's her plaque. I put one of my favorite photos of her on it, where she just has the most amazing smile, and then there's the sunflower on the other side. Choosing her garden. So I'm going to refer to where Bobbi is as Bobbi's garden from now on. And if you hear me talking about Bobbi's garden, that's what I'm talking about. So it took me a while to choose Bobbi's garden, and I picked the most beautiful part of the cemetery, in my opinion. It's a gorgeous rose garden, and Bobbi loved roses. We have roses at the back of this place that she loved when she lived here. She was obsessed with the rose on my tattoo. She loved roses. So yeah, I thought the rose garden was fitting. I went to the effort of considering where the sun sets and rises every day. I chose the colors of the rose bushes. So I asked the employees at the cemetery, like, what color roses is in each garden. Like, I want her to be with certain colors. And so the garden that she's in, it blooms red and yellow, which she loves, and it occasionally blooms pink as well. So perfect, red, yellow, and pink. Her favorite colors, the colors that remind me of her. So I put a lot of thought into which garden was going to be Bobbi's. So she faces the sun every morning as it rises and it sets behind her. So I thought that was quite important. I wanted her spot to have a lot of sunshine in the day, and it does, and it's beautiful. And it looks out into the trees where there's so many birds and kangaroos and wildlife where it overlooks. So I don't know if that sounds silly to you, like, you know, some people think it's just a burial plot. It's not important, but I put so much time and effort and thought and consideration into where I wanted her plot to be, which is why it took me so long, because I just, overthought every single detail. So that's how I chose her garden. For her burial, originally I had just asked if I could sort of stand in the background as she was placed, because I didn't want her to be alone. And that's how it was when she was here, through every difficult and traumatic medical experience. I made sure that I was there, no matter how traumatizing that event was for me. I always chose to be with her. So, for example, getting her central line dressing changed every week was really difficult and traumatic for her, but it was me who literally had to hold her down and comfort her while that happened every week. Before she had that central line, she had one in her neck. So her central line in her neck started coming out, and it had to be urgently taken out there and then. And the nurses were like, Ash, you can go. This isn't very nice. And I'm like, no way am I leaving her in a room with a bunch of people she doesn't know. So I made that conscious decision to be with her through absolutely everything, no matter how much I hate needles and I hate blood. And, anyone is traumatized from seeing the child they love most in this world in pain and terrified. But I thought if me being there was even, the tiniest bit calming and less traumatic for her, I was going to do that. And I did. And I stuck to my word to her. I promised I would never let her go through anything alone. And this was my final chance to do that for her. Yeah, I'm crying already. So I thought I was just there to sort of stand back while they did their thing, but they brought out a beautiful basket filled with rose petals and her urn, and they said, would you like to carry Bobbi down to her garden? And I said yes, of course. So they carried my flowers and I got to carry the basket with Bobbi in it, and it was so emotional. Just, I was just imagining holding her in my arms. But this was obviously so different. It was a box that weighed next to nothing. And, once upon a time she was an 18-kilo toddler. So it was very difficult, but I'm glad I did it. And then we got down there and they said, would you like to have a couple of minutes alone with Bobbi? And I said, yes, please. So there's a park bench not too far from where her garden is. So I sat on that bench. I held Bobbi on my lap and I spoke to her. You know, realizing that this would be the last time that I get to hold her. Even though it's, you know, it's her, but it's not her. I know that. But the last time I get to hold any physical, I don't have a word, but you know what I mean. So I sat there and I held the urn on my lap and I held it to my heart, and you know, I spoke to her and I told her how much I miss her. And oh, sorry, this is really hard. Yeah, so I had my few minutes alone, and after that I carried her back over. The ladies at the crematorium were absolutely beautiful, and they said, would you like any photos or videos of today? And I said, actually I would really love that. So they took photos and videos of everything for me, which is why I have the videos. Yeah, so I got to actually place Bobbi. So I placed her in the garden, and I got to sprinkle the rose petals. You can see in the video I sprinkle the petals and then I uncover her name, and I just felt like I had to. I wanted her name to be visible. And then they asked if I would like to sprinkle the dirt and sand over her, and this was a tough one. I knew that would be probably one of the hardest bits, and I said yes. I wasn't going to say no. If I could have performed her brain surgery with any kind of skill, I would have said yes to that too. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have done anything for her. So you can see in the video that I start, you know, using the shovel and just scooping the dirt in. But then I was like, no, this doesn't feel right. So I started using my hands because I just wanted to touch every grain of sand and dirt that was with her. And not only did I want to just touch them, I wanted to put my love into it, and just with every, like, you can see that I'm slowly sprinkling the dirt in because I wanted to touch every grain of sand, and I kept saying in my head that I love you a million times more than every grain of sand and dirt right now. So I was talking to her in my head the whole time, like I didn't stop talking to her. And you know, the more dirt that went over her, I sort of felt this like wave of closure in a way. I was sobbing, I was crying my eyes out while I was doing this. Yeah, so once all the dirt was over her, I was asked to put my handprints on top of the dirt, and then they would be covered over and they actually stay there. So I pressed my handprints down so I would always be with her, and then I walked away and had about 5 minutes to myself. I just needed time to sort of collect myself together, like get myself together, because I was really emotional. And I came back over, and the groundskeeper, I guess, had, you know, tidied the dirt back around, put the mulch on top and things like that. So that was the only thing I wasn't there for, which was okay. And then I placed my flowers that I bought her in the vases on either side of her plaque. And the beautiful workers, they said, we're going to give you some time, like take as much time as you want, there's no rush, like this is your space with Bobbi now, you can come here whenever you want. And I said goodbye to them, and I sat there and just cried and cried for quite a while. I played her some music, which is something we used to do together all the time. And I just sat there and, you know, spoke to her in my heart. And yeah, that's how that morning went. It was really difficult, really difficult, but it gave me so much closure and so much peace, knowing that she has the most beautiful garden where she will spend forever in, and I can visit her as often as I want. So it felt good knowing that I have finished every bit of organisation that comes with losing a child. It was really difficult organising all of that on my own, from the funeral to the burial to everything in between. There's a lot of work and thought that goes into the process, and I feel so honoured that it was me who got to do all of that. And I hope she would be happy with everything I did for her. Yeah, that's pretty much that story. I know I've posted 2 really heavy videos in a row, and that was something I wanted to try and avoid. But I really wanted to speak about Wednesday while it was still fresh and raw, because there's a lot of things I'm talking about, like they happened months ago, whereas this is only like 3 days ago. So it's right there, it's fresh. Yeah. I wasn't sure how I felt about sharing the videos of this day. I felt a bit uncomfortable with the idea of sharing them, because at the end of the day, it was a really intimate, personal, emotional moment. And I was like, should I share this? And I obviously decided to share it. I made a short video of it for my social media, because I've shared almost everything with you guys from the start, and that's been the point of this, to be completely open, to share the good and the bad and everything in between. And yeah, just because I've shared such an intimate moment with my audience doesn't make it any less intimate. It doesn't make it any less about me and Bobbi. Like, that moment, that morning was 100% about me and Bobbi. It wasn't about, you know, showing it to an audience and, you know, making it video worthy. That was the last thing on my mind at all. Those videos were taken for me, and when they were taken, I didn't think I'd ever share them. And just because I have shared them doesn't make it any less meaningful. It's quite difficult to share something so personal and so intimate, but you know, you guys, my audience, my friends, my supporters, you know, you guys are so close to this journey. You guys are so close to Bobbi's story, so close to me. And I know that a lot of you guys are needing closure as well. I know that. I know that you guys loved Bobbi so much and still do love her. And you guys deserve to be a part of this process because I shared such intimate details of our lives while she was here. You formed such deep connections with us, and I wouldn't feel right not letting you guys being a part of this process after she's gone. So yeah, I'm really glad I made the decision to share these videos. The outpouring of support I got from everyone who watched it was amazing, and I do sit there and I do read all of your comments, and sometimes it makes me cry even more, but your words make me feel so supported and so loved, and everyone needs that. Everyone needs to feel like they've got that unconditional support, and I'm just lucky enough to have that support from thousands and thousands of people, and I'm so grateful. So thank you to everyone who messaged or commented beautiful words on that day. I really appreciate it. So I think that's a wrap on this YouTube video. I'm really thankful that you guys have shown an overwhelming amount of support for this YouTube channel. I did not expect it to go this well so quickly, so I'm really grateful. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't watched my other videos, make some time to watch them if you can. I'd love for you guys to join me on this journey as I navigate life and all the things that come with it, the good and the bad. Thanks again for watching, and I'll have a new video out for you next week.
Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir, and I hope the angels know what they have, and I bet it's so nice since you arrived. You'll be dancing in the sky. Tell me, what do you do up in heaven? Are your days filled with love and light? Is there music? Is there art and adventure? Are you happy?